If The Walking Dead has taught us anything, it's that forging bonds between survivors and building up a community is essential to surviving the zombie apocalypse. State of Decay 2 takes those values to heart with co-op for up to 4 players, provided you all agree to work together instead of backstabbing one another for precious supplies. To build up your customizable encampment, you'll need to scavenge on foot or 4 wheels, splattering the skulls of countless undead along the way. And if someone's unfortunate enough to get bitten, their allies will have the tough choice between curing them with a limited supply of medicine, or ending their impending suffering with a bullet to the brain. Anthem is essentially EA's answer to Destiny, a shared world shooter that aims to fully immerse players in a gigantic sci-fi universe. You play as a freelancer, don't call them guardians, engaging in third-person, Mass Effect-style shootouts, armored up in your Javelin exosuit to explore and exterminate within some gigantic alien biomes. As you might expect, there's an emphasis on party play, for up to 4-player co-op, and the pursuit of increasingly impressive loot, and it's promising to hear that Anthem will be penned by the writer of Coder and the first 2 Mass Effect games. Sea of Thieves isn't the only open-world pirate game on the horizon. Ubisoft's Skull and Bones is also setting sail for 2018, with a much more realistic take on pirate battles on the high seas. Skull and Bones is basically Assassin's Creed Black Flag without the assassins, as it's being developed by much of the same team behind Black Flag, and promises a sweeping solo campaign as you vie for control over the 18th century waters in the Indian Ocean. But the real focus looks to be player versus player ship skirmishes online, where each player controls their very own warship in team-based fleet battles. There will also be supernatural elements amidst all the cannon fire, like the colossal tentacles of a terrifying kraken lurking in the deep. The Shenmue series was never a huge commercial success, but thanks in part to Kickstarter and thousands of fans' hard-earned dollars, plus some generous funding from Sony, the project is fully underway. In Shenmue 3, you'll take the role of a martial artist named Ryo Hazuki as he attempts to uncover who is responsible for his father's murder. The game promises to have gameplay reminiscent of the previous titles, enabling players to take on enemies in hand-to-hand combat, upgrade combat abilities, and explore a living world full of villages, shops, and an active populace. Having torn the Greek pantheon asunder, Kratos, now sporting a scruffy beard, has set his sights on a new mythology to conquer, Norse. The 4th main entry in the legendarily brutal PlayStation series, God of War, drops the numbering and looks like it'll force Kratos to control his endless rage, as he raises his young son Atreus to become a hardened warrior. Don't worry, you'll still slay plenty of fantastical creatures along the way, using Kratos' new Lightning Axe main weapon, but expect a lot more character development and quieter moments in between all the carnage. You'd be hard-pressed to find a game that blends anime vampires, gothic horror, and grim depictions of a metropolitan apocalypse than Code Vein, an intriguing new action RPG from Bandai Namco. You and your AI-controlled partner will roam the thorny, defiled wastes, slaying monsters and sucking up blood wherever you can as you slice up enemies in familiar dodge, attack, disengage, repeat fashion. The enemy designs are anime Bloodborne to a T, with slime waifus and knights clad in impossibly bulky armor, and it looks like you'll be able to transform when it's time to deal the finishing. This open-world superhero game should be an interesting departure for Insomniac Games, the studio most famous for the Ratchet and Clank series. You'll be web-swinging between buildings and beating up thugs as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, dealing with the likes of Kingpin and Mr. Negative in your efforts to keep the peace in the Big Apple. This game isn't tied to any specific comic or movie, so the creators aren't bound by an existing storyline. Here's to hoping we don't have to see any origin stories play out for the umpteenth time.